So we all know Saleh gave a presser recently, but what are the real meanings behind his comments? What's up, Jets fans? GreenBean back with you for another video. Today we're going to get into Saleh's presser. We talked a little bit about Joe Douglas and what some of his comments meant about being aggressive and not being reckless. Today we're going to dig a little bit deeper into Robert Saleh and what he got into down at the owners' meetings. Pretty interesting stuff. Now, before we get into that, I want to take a moment to remind you of a couple things. Number one, if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and hit that like button underneath the video. It looks like a little thumbs up, and that's exactly what it means. Hey, go ahead and do that. And if you really want to stick around a little while, go ahead and hit that rectangular subscribe button. It's nice and red for you so you can see it. Hit that, become a member of the channel. And if you want even more exclusive and private GreenBean content, go ahead and join the Beanbaggers by clicking on my Patreon link at the top of the description. And that would be greatly appreciated as well. So guys, Robert Saleh was down there, he was in front of everybody, and even though the NFL can't seem to figure out their sound and lighting for interviews like this, he spoke nonetheless and answered some questions. And the first one that I want to get into, we've heard people talk about it. Robert Saleh commenting on the Tyreek Hill trade. Most people are talking about it, but there's an underlying comment that he makes and a theme here that really talks about a larger concept for us as Jets fans. So take a listen to the clip and then we'll talk about it.
Obviously, Tyreek is a special player. He's got a special skill set. He's got dynamic speed. It's very easy to get him the football, and we thought it'd be a really good opportunity when it was presented to us to add an elite player to our offense. Joe was aggressive, took a big swing, didn't work out, win some, lose some, but happy we tried it. The young man wanted to go to Miami. We knew that. We knew we had to be aggressive, which I felt like we were.
A lot of the press out there are trying really hard to connect the dots, and they're saying that, look, the Jets went after Amari Cooper. We've been rumored to be connected to DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and obviously we were very, very close in the Tyreek Hill trade. They're trying to make this that the Jets feel as though they need a wide receiver at all costs. They're willing to sell the farm for a wide receiver. And what Robert Saleh said there was, hey, look, we saw an opportunity to get a unique talent. Who can deny that Tyreek Hill is kind of hard to replicate out there? He's a very, very unique opportunity to add somebody to the offense that most people aren't going to be able to bring to your team. So they tried to take that and make it into, well, look, the Jets are clearly trying to get a wide receiver. Does that mean that wide receiver is your priority?
I don't know if it's a priority. Obviously, we want to add as many really good players as we can. We've got a lot of draft capital to do some of that. We have a lot of needs on our football team in terms of just trying to fill some roster voids. Thought we did a great job in free agency with the things that we did, but to call it a priority one over the other, I don't know if I see it that way. I think every position, we're in a good position to take the best players available at every single spot, and that's something we'll do.
Robert Saleh basically said, no, look, we looked at Tyreek Hill as a singular item. It was Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill alone. It's not to say that we don't want a receiver. It's not to say that we don't think we need a receiver, but he said it very clearly there. It's not that wide receiver is so important to us that we're panicking and that we're going to, at all costs, bring in a wide receiver. He talked about the opportunity itself, and Joe Douglas, when he sees an opportunity, is going to pull out his baseball bat and take a swing. And we've even heard Joe Douglas talk about keeping some flexibility so when an opportunity does arise, he can strike. So we heard words like strike and baseball bat and take a swing. You see how they're looking at this. But it was really interesting to hear that it's not so much about wide receiver as a whole. It's about the individual opportunity with the specific player. So after that, he was asked about the Jets really being aggressive when looking for a trade.
Yeah, you know what? I can't speak for the other 31. I'd imagine so. And if an opportunity presents itself, I know Joe will pull out his baseball bat and take a swing. So we'll. But at the same time, it's not something that we're looking for constantly. But if something pops up because of another team's needs, we'll be ready to have a conversation on it.
And what he says basically is, hey, look, we have our ear to the ground. We're not out there begging teams to release a player or to trade a player that we want because we feel like the hole is so massive, we need to do this. We have our ears to the ground. We are looking around the league. It depends on what the other teams want to do. If they show some willingness, we're going to pull out the baseball bat and beat him over the head so we can take advantage of him like Joe Douglas always does. Right? That's what we're going to do. Give us your player. I'm throwing you a fifth. It's really just saying, hey, guys, we're looking out there. We have a very responsible and active front office crew. We're not just sitting back doing nothing, and we're not out there throwing extra money around like Mike Becton giving C.J. Mosley $5 million on top of being the highest paid linebacker in the league. That's not what we're doing, and we'll get more into that with some of his comments a little bit later. So then he went to talk about the offensive line, and we've heard a little bit about this, and I think it's really interesting about the decision to keep Laken Tomlinson at the left guard spot.
Lincoln's been in the league a long time, playing left guard for a very long time. AVT has shown flexibility in college. He played tackle, played guard. He's got tremendous flexibility, and he's still a young pup, and there's a lot of things that he can learn, and really think the dynamic of our offensive line will work really well with those, especially with that interior. We got a really good one.
When we went and signed him, a lot of us just assumed, hey, the hole is at right guard. We'll take Laken Tomlinson, who did play right guard all through college, and we'll just plug him into the right guard spot. He's versatile. He can go back and forth. But I think it's really smart what they did here, especially after thinking about it for a little while. They've decided to keep the guy who's already entrenched himself as an elite left guard in the NFL. Keep him there. Why create more issues than you need to? AVT is young, versatile, only has 1 year in the NFL at the left guard spot. Go ahead and move him over. He's more than likely going to be able to handle it because he is a very versatile player, even to the point where he could play tackle if we needed to. He played tackle for a large stretch of his last season in college, so why not? So I think that makes a lot of sense, and it shows wisdom. It's interesting because last year I thought that they went the opposite way with their first move in game one. During preseason, they had George Fant on the left side and Morgan Moses on the right, and right before game one, they decided to put Becton on the left side and then move George Fant over to the right side, and then Morgan Moses was out. So what they did was they created two tackles that were playing a new position, at least for the recent time frame, when they could have just kept Morgan Moses there, bumped George Fant back, and kept Becton, and then you only have one guy making the move. I think that they may have learned from that.
Again, if those opportunities present, we'll attack, but at the same time, we're not in a panic either because we have a lot of draft capital, and it's things that we can address in the draft. We're still building. Obviously, we're going to have our moment in the sun, and it's a big offseason for a lot of our young guys to come in and take a step and show the progress that we know that they're capable of. And when they do that, and when it's our time to pounce, we'll pounce. But like I said, though, we've got a lot of draft capital. We got a lot of exciting moments. This offseason's not close to done.
So again, they tried to get him to talk about wide receiver being the number one priority, and he really quickly just reminds us, hey, number one, we're young in this. We are still at the beginning of this process. And this is one of the pieces that I think Jets fans are having a hard time remembering. With our last 10 years of suctitude, we want so badly for this to be the offseason where every hole is filled with a dynamic Pro Bowl level player, and we want to win games. We want to get to the playoffs. Hey, we want to get to the Super Bowl. That's what we want to do. And he goes and reminds us, hey, look, we're not in a panic. We had a young team last year. We started a bunch of rookies. Our goal is to develop these guys. Our goal is to stack progress on top of progress. We have a lot of draft capital. If an opportunity presents itself, we have the wiggle room. We have the ability to make a move if we see that it's the right move or we think it's a great opportunity.
We're still young. You go from a rookie to a second-year player. You're still young. So for me, we all want to see that progress, that glimmer of hope that you're about to be a superstar, that step in the right direction, that you're going to be a fixture in the NFL for years to come. And that's what you're looking for out of these young guys.
But hey, this is all about filling holes. It's about development of the player, and it's to remind everybody we are just entering year 2 of this organization's rebuild. Yeah, we don't like the word rebuild. That is what it is. But that's where we are. That's the reality of our situation.
He's doing great. Expecting him back for training camp. He'll be around the building. He's going to be. We've already seen him. He's excited to get back. The guy's watching tape on the draft picks. He's doing everything, So he's fully involved. Really excited to get him back.
So I think it's really interesting that when we talk about Carl Lawson, we're kind of okay with the time frame. We're okay with the rehab schedule. It's just an interesting tidbit that I think it's important to focus on. We have a guy here, and I want to make sure I'm clear. I want Carl Lawson to be as good and dominant as any other Jets fan out there. I do. But the truth of the matter is that Carl Lawson has had numerous injuries where he had his season cut short. This was another one with a really could be the death knell injury with the Achilles. Now, we all like Carl Lawson's work ethic. We like his, the level of fitness that he employs and how hard he works and all that kind of stuff. We're all okay. He said he's going to be back for training camp. No big deal. Okay, he'll be back for training camp. When we get into Becton, we talk about him being ready for training camp, and what do we all focus on? The fact that he's not going to be back for OTAs. The truth is, Carl Lawson went out almost a month, was it 3-4 weeks up before Becton? So if one of them should be back on time for OTAs, it would more than likely be Carl Lawson. They're both well within the time frame that their rehab should be taking. So it's just an interesting thing how willing we are to just assume Carl Lawson's going to be okay when, again, he's older, has had more injuries, and then Becton, he's on his time frame, and everybody focuses so much on the exact day when he's going to come back. And look, Saleh sounds really upbeat about Becton. He even went as far as to call Denzel Mims Mimsy. So we don't know what's going on out there.
But you also want to see Becton make a comeback and have a great third year. You want to see Mimsy come back and have his best year, and Ashton Davis and all the 20 draft picks to bounce back from what happened a year ago. They have a chance. They're all special, and they can do this. I do know when he does come back, he's going to be a ball of butcher knives. So just really excited to get him back.
I think we just need to be patient again and just kind of allow these time frames to be what they are. Training camp is the big one. OTAs is OTAs. It's just organized team activity. They don't hit. They don't do very much other than install and kind of, comfortability with each other in the playbook and all that jazz. So it's not the biggest deal. Of course, we all want them back. We want guys healthy 100% of the time. I'm with that. At the same time, I think it's an interesting situation that we just allow whatever's said about Carl Lawson, we're totally fine with it. But when it's Becton, we're uber critical. He's 22 years old, and for some reason, we tend to be a little bit harsher toward Becton than we are toward Carl Lawson, which is something that makes you scratch your head.
No, yeah, of course it might be a little frustrating, but at the same time, it's anytime you're in a rebuild. I've told you guys a million times, there's number 5, and early in the rebuild, that's just what it is. People want to go to the perceived team that's closer to a championship, and but at the end of the day, it was like that in San Francisco in 17 and 18, and then you get Kittle and you draft Bosa and you draft. You get Richard Sherman in free agency, and you add a couple of pieces, and now people just want to come to you. And so there's no panic. There's no panic at all. Does it get frustrating? Sure, but at the same time, it's something that we've been through. We expect it, and it's something that'll change eventually.
So here's where he talks about the rebuild, and he kind of honors the frustration of it all. Everybody knows it's frustrating, especially for us. I mean, look, Saleh just got here. He's been here for a half an hour. We've been here, guys like myself, for 40 friggin' years. And if you just look at the last 10 since we were respectable at all, we have a solid 10 years outside of 1 year in 2015 that we've been just about a laughing stock the entire time. So it does get frustrating. But he reminds us, This is about a rebuild. This is about laying a foundation. This is about clearing out everything and making sure that the locker room is in shape enough as far as character that we can move forward. And that's where we are. We have the young guys. We have the guys that are going to come in with the draft capital he keeps talking about. And it's about having that high character, the right guys, the right leadership, and then we can actually build from there.
I know that we've done a really nice job with Joe and our staff and his staff rebuilding the foundation and replanting a foundation that we can build off of. The locker room is in really good shape. We got tremendous leadership in the locker room. We've got players who want to be here. They're not here because they're overpaid. They're here because they want to be here. And now it's about developing our young guys, continuing the draft, and continuing to close the gap that exists within the division.
And the key comment there is we have guys here that want to be here. Maybe they're not the big superstar names. Maybe it's not Devontae Adams. Maybe it's not Amari Cooper, and on and on and on. But we have guys that want to be here. That's the difference. They didn't come here because they're overpaid. When you look at Jacksonville, just as this year's example, but numerous years it was us, we have all these great guys coming in, and there's all the big hoopla and all the press and all the headlines. But the truth is that they're there because they're getting paid to be there. They were overpaid to choose that team over another team. We have none of that going on. None. Since Joe Douglas has been here, and in particular this offseason, not one guy that we signed came to us because we blew their doors off with a contract. And it's really setting the landscape to be able to move forward from here. Guys that don't crumble when the going gets tough. Guys that want to be here, that are willing to put in the extra work because this is where they want to be. Building something special like Bryce Hall and CJ Mosley talked about at the end of the season last year. Now, maybe we don't like the last word eventually. Maybe we don't like that. Oh, when is eventually? When is it eventually? Well, we got to just stack positives on top of positives, progress on top of progress. And I think this was a really strong press conference as far as seeing through some of the baloney that we have to cut throughout there. Of course, our media has taken this and made it a big thing about, hey, Mekhi Becton's not going to be back for OTAs. It's funny, I listened to the interview 2 solid times, and obviously I'm making clips and everything of it. I didn't pick that up at all. It's just funny how when you look at things a certain way, you see a certain thing. You know what I mean? You see certain themes when you look at it through a certain lens. And let me tell you something. I didn't hear any of that. I heard everything's on schedule. Everybody's doing great. We're really happy with the foundation and the character. We've been working our ass off to clean this place out. And we think we got a good foundation right now, and we're going to stack on top of it. We happen to have some good free agent acquisitions, and we have 9 draft picks, 4 in the top 40. We feel pretty good about where we are right now. But this isn't the final offseason. This isn't it. This isn't the be-all, end-all. It's just another offseason with some strong capital to use to build this team. So what do you think, guys? Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Are you seeing a bunch of negatives out here? Do you not like the ball of butcher knives comment because of Dwayne Robertson back in the day? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to have the discussion with you. And as always, go Jets.